I need your advice.
Did you find out what they did? And did you read the Black Chronicle?
Yes.
So tell me what you found out, and I'll see what I can come up with.
Just bear in mind, I can help you work it out, but you'll only find exactly what you need in the Rattay Black Chronicle. Every executioner has his own way of doing things, and this bastard might have different methods in mind.
Peter of Dorba has many murders on his soul, but he's still a nobleman. His neck is going on the block.
That makes sense. His crimes are great, but he's still a nobleman, so he gets an honorable death.
George Weiss is a bloodthirsty bastard who left a trail of corpses behind him. He hasn't earned an honourable death. He's for a long drop on a short rope.
A murderer deserves nothing better. That makes sense.
Frost Herald is the worst of them all, sent by Satan himself. The things he's done would make a demon blanch. The executioner will take his time with that one. He'll be begging to die. If I read correctly, it'll start with ripping the flesh.
Aye, could be. He deserves nothing better.
So, have we got everything we need?
We've covered all the possibilities. There's nothing more we can think up.
So, what's the plan then?
An executioner's greatest boast is to behead with one blow. That's why an executioner's sword needs to be a splendid piece of craftsmanship and sharp as a razor.
I follow you, but how can I get to the sword?
It won't be easy. The executioner's sword is one of his most valuable instruments.
Couldn't it just be switched for a different one?
He'd notice straight away. It's different than a regular sword, heavier with a blunt point. The balance is different too.
I could take yours and...
He'd recognize that too. An executioner knows his sword like the back of his hand. He'd notice as soon as he picked it up.
So I'll have to steal it, dull the blade and put it back before anyone notices?
Yes, that's probably the only way.
That'll be interesting. And how can I dull the sword? Should I hack at a stone wall?
I thought you were a blacksmith, son. It's enough to cock up the honing. That will make much less noise.
That'll do me.
With ripping of the flesh, the bastard has to suffer, but survive as long as possible.
So, if Herald drops dead right at the start...
The executioner will look like a fool.
But how can I make sure it happens?
I don't know. It depends on the skill of the executioner. An experienced one starts in places where there's no threat of heavy bleeding, the sides, the chest.
And the Kuttenberg executioner is definitely experienced.
No doubt. They use a kind of special tongs, and in between the ripping, the convict's wounds are treated so he can take more.
What if I get the one who's supposed to dress the wounds drunk?
Don't do that. It could be someone from Rattay, and even if it isn't, the blame wouldn't fall on the executioner.
Maybe the tongs could be spiked with something nasty.
And you'd know what to use?
I know a little, and I might be able to get something.
That would work. Good idea, Hal.
That'll do me. What about the hanging?
If the rope breaks when it's done, it's an unbelievable disgrace for the executioner. Folk see it as the will of God, and sometimes he even has to let the condemned man go.
Supposing I just cut it?
I doubt it would work. The executioner will check it before the hanging when he's preparing the gallows. He'd probably notice.
I could shoot the rope through from a distance with an arrow.
Don't be daft. No, you couldn't.
But I'm...
Where did you get such a stupid idea? From some wench? Even if you somehow hit it, that rope's much too strong.
Well...
And even if you did manage to shoot it through, do you really think nobody would notice?
Maybe it's not the best plan I've ever come up with.
I certainly hope not.
What about switching it?
That could work. I've got an old rope here I don't use anymore. It looks fine, but it's run. It'll be perfect.
Great, I'll use that. That'll do me. Thanks.